Hello and welcome to PowerDrift. Today we are going to talk about the problems of big bike ownership in India, and we are not talking about the fuel prices. You see, India changed the way you import tires into India. You need licenses now, and Michelin and Pirelli, who used to enjoy this part of the game, have not really gotten back into it. Tires are difficult to find, there's a premium you have to pay. But today, just maybe thanks to Vredestein, a European brand, a really old 110-year-old European brand, which Apollo Tyres now owns, there might be a solution. So that obviously is the Budh International Circuit in Greater Noida outside Delhi. We are here to test out the new Vredestein line of motorcycle tires. They're called Centauro. There's the ST, which is the sport touring tire, and the NS, which is the sportier tire. I'm going to be riding two motorcycles. One might look slightly familiar to you. This is a 2016 1200S Multistrada running the ST tire, the sport touring tire. And next after this, I have an R1 running the NS. And the idea is to figure out, at least in terms of initial impressions, what these tires are like, and should you be thinking about these as the replacement when you run out of tires next. Are you ready? Let's take this bike out on the track first.
The Centauro ST is a 0-degree steel-belted radial tire which uses a 2-radius profile for great grip in the corners, has a tread pattern that promises good wet road performance, and it's meant to be benchmarked against the Pirelli Angel GT, a rather good Italian tire. It comes in 2 front and 6 rear sizes, and a heavy-duty version for the rear for larger, heavier motorcycles is in the works.
Now, I do understand that there is the apprehension that we've used big brand European tires for our motorcycles for a long time. How does it feel to switch to something like this? Well, initial impressions, 15 minutes of fairly hard riding on this bike out there, and I can tell you that we can calm down. Because initially, I think my previous tires had a more aggressive profile than these. These are a flatter profile. So I thought that entering the corners, especially at slow speeds, took a lot more effort. But once you got over the feeling change, after that, I had like total trust in this tire. And I think this is maybe the third or the fourth time I've got my knee down all the Multistrada. So from that perspective, the amount of grip it had, the amount of confidence it gave me, how natural it felt to ride, on all of these parameters, I think the Centauro STs are doing fine. In fact, now I'm excited to ride the Centauro NS and really push the performance up a notch and see what happens. Ready?
The NS is the sporty tire. Think Pirelli Rosso 3 as the benchmark. That implies excellent grip on the straight as well as in turns, decent to good wet weather performance, a softer compound than the ST, and that means obviously slightly less life than the ST as well. This is what you would use on a fast road bike and not totally be out of place at a racetrack. It comes in 1 front and 3 rear sizes, and the rear is a dual compound tire with a hard center strip for longer life.
Okay, so the idea that I have to ride an unfamiliar R1, and I have not ridden this generation R1 at all, on those tires at the track, I was a little bit scared. But as soon as we got out of pit lane, the R1's frame, the feedback from the tires, it just comes together. Knee down on lap 1 to me is a huge vote of confidence. I'm also happy that despite as hard as we could push the R1, and remember, we're not trying track pace here, we're trying something lower than that. There was no movement from the tire, no unexpected traction control lights flashing at you or anything. And to me, we're off to a great start. Both the tires that we've tested today have performed at a level where I'd say, yes, I want to see more of these tires in more situations to tell you whether they're good or not.
Vredestein and Apollo are off to a good start, I would say. We can't yet comment on how long they last or how they will feel in dirtier, more realistic Indian conditions, but Apollo says Indian conditions have been accounted for and the tires did not put a foot wrong at the BIC.
What do we know so far? These tires, these Vredestein Centauros, are made at the Gujarat plant that Apollo owns. They will be available in India through the Apollo network. I'm not sure if Vredestein branded a second network will be created or not. These tires will also be exported. I understand both of them are roughly the same price, around 30,000 rupees for a set, which makes them, I'm going to say, about 10 to 15% less than the equivalent Pirelli or Michelin tire. What? Sorry? Really? Alright, so what I'm hearing is that initial impression says you should be fine, but that's Ferrucci, of course, my Multistrada, and these tires are supposed to remain on the Multistrada as it goes home, and therefore in a month and a half from now, I should have a much more detailed breakdown on what the Centauro STs feel like. Until then, thank you so much for watching. This is PowerDrift. There's 4 buttons we love you to hit, and if you like this video, thumbs up, and do share this video with your friends, especially if they have big bikes, because I think the options on what they can use on their motorcycles just opened up.